The Martin Scorsese is actually one of my favorite directors of all time. If I'm given a chance to be a student of any director, I would actually be choosing him. I'm also a huge fan of Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon. And so the Departed was actually quite an experience for me, seeing all of them work together in one movie. But as great of a film that was, it does not come close to the original, which is The Infernal Affairs. The Infernal Affairs was directed by Andrew Lau and Tony Mack. Alan Mack. Who's Tony Mack? Alan Mack. And it stars Tony Leung and Andy Lau. So Tony Leung is also one of my favorite actors of all time. He won the Cannes for Best Actor in The Mood for Love. So The Infernal Affairs is actually the original, the father of The Departed. It's about two cops that penetrated the other's world as so the good cop penetrated as an undercover the drug lords and whatever, and then the bad cop, the bad person became a police officer to penetrate that world and help this underworld, these bad things that are going on. So it is actually, on the surface, it's labeled as an action film, and it is not. It's not an action film, but so it's really about. So there are two main characters. So there's this cop, and he became an undercover agent to try and penetrate the criminal world. And then there's this guy raised by the king of the criminal world, and he was implanted to become a cop so that he could help the criminal operations. So that's the story. And then the real conflict began when the two tried to find out who the mole is in each other's world. So they were looking basically for themselves in that other side. So it is initially packaged an action movie, but it is not an action movie. There's very little blood in there. But it is not as much as this trickery and this mystery and these two people, all the excitement of these two people trying to look for each other. It is not the reason why you would watch the movie. You're not even going to watch the movie because of the action part of it, because there's very, very, very little blood actually in the movie. There's some, but not enough for it to become an action movie by a stretch. Even so, really, you will watch the movie because of the lack of emotional exploration. I'm not done. There's lack of emotional exploration, but it managed to have so much emotional depth, and it is. I don't know how they did it, but that's why you're going to watch the movie. It's not the gore or the action, as I've said, that will make you watch the movie, and that's not the reason for you to watch the movie. You should watch the movie because there's that familiar feeling inside of us. You will find it in you. You will relate to the characters so much, even though the situation they're in is so improbable, because as both of them struggle to really get to know, they've lived their lives because they've been in that situation for years and years. They've been undercover for years and years, and it came to a point where they were just living a life that is not them, right? All the people that they've been interacting with, they know them for something that they're not. And at some point, they just look into the mirror and they themselves are getting confused, like, who the hell is this person staring right in front of me? Because everything that's around them, the way that they have lived their life, they've lived it in a way that is not them. They've lived it in a way that fits the role that they were playing. And it will strike you, it awaken something so familiar in you, because at some point in our lives, at one aspect in our life, we live it according to what is expected of us, and not according to what we really are. And at some point, we all will wake up and look at ourselves in the mirror and just stare at the stranger this is a person we don't know. And it's so painfully familiar that it's almost hilarious. You will find yourself, how the hell am I relating to a cop, an undercover cop living in this criminal world? Like, huh? I hate guns. But anyway, it's that familiarity, so familiar, so painfully familiar that it's hilarious. Just to relate to a character that's so in such an improbable situation. The story and the characters there's, I think, the other great reason that you should watch this movie is that it's just so funny. Not funny, but it's funny because it's so great, because I have never seen anything like this. I've never seen any movie that explored the characters so little. The characters past, they didn't dwell this movie didn't dwell so much on the characters past to help us understand the characters more. So if you're a writer, or if you're just a moviegoer or a lover of any kind of narrative, whether it's TV, book, or theater, you will observe how there is so much effort into trying to introduce you to the character. So they will tell you so much about the character, so you can relate to the character, understand and sympathize with them when they do certain things. But in this movie, there was so little effort to try and introduce that side of the characters. Like, there's so little exploration about their past or anything that they do beyond what they are supposed to be doing in this movie. So little exploration in that it's so hilarious, because even if there is so little exploration, you still end up understanding so much about the character. It's like, how did you manage to just show 3 scenes of this character and make me understand a lot? Like, you made me understand 500 dimensions of this character. It's just great movie. It's just great direction and great writing for them to be able to achieve that. And this one difference that they have in the movie, in The Departed, I don't know if you've seen it, but in the Departed, there's a romance angle. Here, there's none. Because they don't need it. And that's one of the things I appreciated. They didn't put it because they don't need it. And I think that's one of the weaknesses that I have over in the movie The Departed. I feel like they don't need that angle, so they shouldn't have put it in. I don't know why they did it, but in this movie they did not need a romantic angle, so they didn't put it. So it's so bare. Like, the story is really broken down into its bare minimum, and it is that simplicity because you're just following that single storyline that made it so strong, because you're able to concentrate on that single storyline. So watch it. Watch it. It's of course, there's the direction is solid, the cinematography is so solid. The other thing that I want to mention about the production design, makeup, and the cinematography, Andy Lau, who played the character of the undercover cop that's in the criminal world, that's a mole in the criminal world. The way that they've made him up, like the way he looks, and of course him as an actor, you can just see how tormented he is in what he's doing. It's so raw, so gritty. You can see the internal you can feel it, the way that he's battling the demons inside. You can feel it so strongly that he doesn't need like a second on screen, like 1 second of him in a scene, and you will see all the torment, all the pain, all the misery, all the confusion that he's suffering and he's battling inside. That's how great he is as an actor. I swear, 1 second on screen, he stands there for 1 second and you can just feel it. That's how great he is as an actor. You can just feel the grit, the suffering, and it's it's so painful. That thing that he was feeling inside, it was so painful that you can feel it in you physically. I'm not kidding. You will feel that. So watch the movie. I would encourage, if you haven't seen The Departed, do watch the Infernal Affairs first and then watch The Departed. But if you have seen The Departed and you haven't seen this, and you please go ahead and still see the Infernal Affairs. There are 3 parts, but the first one should be enough for you. But you still should see second and third. So if you have seen The Departed, still go ahead and watch the Infernal Affairs. But one thing I will request is that shed all of your try to forget that. Try to forget that and remember that before the Departed was, because it's a great movie. The Departed is a great movie. So it might make you feel, you might feel like the Infernal Affairs is less of it, because there's a lot of the story that you already know because you've seen The Departed. So try to shed it, try to forget that for a minute until you finish watching the Infernal Affairs, because that's the only way you will truly experience the greatness of the movie and of the narrative. The Infernal Affairs.